Okay, Carta.
So in that note, like what does it mean to put these into the spaces that we're in, whether it's like the dance floor or like the organizing meeting, strategy meeting, conference, the AMC. Like, I mean, let's think about what's happening here even. We just said there's all these languages represented. Is there anything in any other language other than English?
There was ASL.
ASL, there was ASL, there's Spanish interpretation, but how would people know there's Spanish interpretation? Is there anything in the registration? Was there being announcements? Obviously with so much respect to like the work that's happening, but it's real, like, if we just said that the communities we represent and the languages and communities that are here speak all these different languages, we clearly have a multilingual movement, right? But then what's going on in terms of the spaces we're creating? Totally English dominant. And that means that then people maybe cannot really come fully into this space, right? And participate. Usually what ends up happening is like, okay, those who don't speak English go into the corner. We'll whisper interpret. Or those who don't speak English are the ones that get equipment. Here's an idea. What happens if the person that doesn't speak English wants to participate? What happens?
They have to interrupt the flow of the meeting or whatever to be like, can I get some interpretation, or I want to interject now or intervene now.
Right. They speak, it's like, oh, okay, consecutive. All right, I'll go and like repeat it. But there's, first of all, like it's already like hard to participate, sometimes. And then the whole process, conversations gets kind of like interrupted, and you're having to figure it out. So what if, like, for example, we try to give interpretation equipment to everyone? Not just the folks that don't speak the dominant language, but also the other way around, right? So that there could be more of an equal playing field in terms of how we're coming into this space and communicating with each other. Knowing that there's already all these different power dynamics, how do we try not to then also create this other power dynamic where we're kind of like putting to the side, folks that don't speak the dominant language. But even in like a bit of a larger like concept of these, I think about a lot of like, we live in a system of capitalism. If, folks at the top, the ruling class, if they want to pass a NAFTA or a CAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, if they want to move the GM factory from Detroit to Mexico, do you think they're gonna think twice about interpreters or paying people interpretation or like translating their documents and their agreements so that they can make sure that their deals are happening? Probably not. I'm sure they have it together, right? They're probably giving a lot of priority to being able to communicate with each other to make their deals. I'm sure of that, right? And then many times when we are doing interpretation or trying to do that language negotiation is usually, okay, maybe the worker with the boss, the immigrant rights person with the legislator, and we think about it a lot this way, right? But then, how is it working in terms of like working class, movement building? Are we communicating with each other and like building movement together this way and interpreting, like Chinese workers with Latino workers in the factory, or even immigrant rights movement folks with environmental movement folks? Is that conversation happening? And are we putting intentionality into interpretation to build multilingual movement this way? So, imagine the power that can be created if we are building spaces where people are communicating with each other across language as we're building movement. And even at a larger level, like globally. We know that the top is doing that. What would happen if we are putting intentionality to creating also those connections across, like countries, like with the Zapatistas, with folks from like the revolution, the Arab Revolution, Arab Spring, for example, like just think of the power, that could be created in terms of our movement building.